Hi, Heather.
Hi, Krista.
How are you today?
I'm good. I've
Yeah,
landed in a different place. I did some traveling and I'm in Reno with my friends. So, yeah, I have a different
lovely.
perspective on the world than I normally do.
Nice. Excellent. Well, I'm glad you made it safely.
Yeah.
Um, so we have a topic today that is not quite as hilarious as last week's topic of the
No
reality
game
show, The
shows today.
Billionaires. No game shows this time. Although who knows what will arise. Um,
People seem to enjoy the
sometimes,
game show there, so
yeah.
it opened up some
I
creativity. So
mean,
we may have to come up with some other ideas in the future.
I think so. I think so. We'll put that. We'll work on that over the holiday
Yeah.
season. Um, we do have our last webinar of the Leadership for Liminal Spaces coming up on Thursday.
Mhm.
And this one is going to be about self-care. And you and I have a complicated, well, sarcastic sometimes relationship with the term self-care.
Yeah.
Um, it it is a useful and also often misappropriated, shall we say, term, I think.
Easily co-opted is one of the ways I
Mm,
would say, yeah, that it's a has a great value and it emerged for a great purpose out of
yeah.
I think we talked about in the past, like out of the Black Liberation Movement. I think this
Yes.
Bell Hooks or Audre Lorde. That yeah, so it emerged to talk about supporting people in the resistance movement, but then got co-opted by many, many people who figured out how to make money from it.
That's right. It got co-opted by predatory capitalism, as things
Exactly.
do.
Exactly. Just what we're going to talk
So
about today.
that's right. But that's sort of just to let you know that when we talk about self-care, we do approach it more from the prior understanding than from the predatory capitalist
Right.
understanding, just to
Exactly.
establish that.
Yeah.
But I because we are sort of in these circles, oftentimes my algorithms come up with all sorts of things in the wellness and self-care fields. And one of the things that I've noticed has started coming up more and more recently is the idea of soothing your nervous system, which is something that we have talked about with the center
Hmm.
quite a bit. However, it does strike me that um, this idea is coming up in the context of algorithms that are first activating quite severely your nervous system. So it feels a little bit like they are both generating the problem and then offering
Which
the
is kind of a
cure,
classic trauma bond, honestly,
right?
of
It's
cult
also a
leaders.
common sales tactic. But
Yeah.
but I know you have done a lot of thinking and reflecting on nervous system activation and what does it mean for us as humans and how we interact with each other and how we hold space and how we sort of become grounded guides in liminal spaces.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the things that you have learned about nervous system activation and soothing and why soothing shouldn't maybe always be the end goal.
Yeah, a lot. There's a lot in there. And first of all,
You only have 15 minutes. No.
yeah. I mean, the what comes up for me first is that no, it's not our nervous systems are never meant to be permanently soothed. I mean, that's called numbing or disassociating. Like
Yeah,
that's a pattern that's not healthy. Like we need nervous systems that can get activated, that can like our nervous systems get activated when we like compete in a race or we run a
mm,
triathlon or something. That's an activation of the nervous system that engages us in something competitive or something like where we're fully embodied in it.
right,
That's an example of a nervous system activation. So why would I want to soothe that when I genuinely want to go? And I'm not by no means a racer or even a runner, but when I want to do a kayaker, for example, I
right,
need some nervous system activation in order to and it's quite a delightful thing to be out there on the water and really using your body in that way. And so I think we need to be more careful what we mean when we say nervous system soothing.
right.
I think that, I mean, what they're talking about is the fight, flight, freeze, fawn reactivity.
Right.
Those things are all needed reactivity too, because that's what protects us. That's what lets us know that there's some danger in our environment. So before
Right.
we rush to soothing, we have to notice, do I genuinely need to protect myself in this moment? Is
Mm.
this something that there's a reason to be afraid of or leery of or cautious around or something like that? So if you go too quickly to, oh, I have to soothe my nervous system, you may be missing really important information. And you talk about social media, for example, it's a good one. If I am soothed all the time I'm on social media, that's a real red flag because the fact is social media is constantly trying to manipulate us all the time because they're selling us stuff. It's
Hmm.
surveillance capitalism. They are trying to make sure that we're sucked in and they're selling our attention to the people who are advertising online. And so like being more in a relationship with your nervous system, knowing how your nervous system gets activated in certain times, being mindfully engaged in nervous system witnessing is more
Hmm.
important than just the nervous system soothing stuff that many
Right.
people are talking about. And that's not to like remove it entirely. I think there are practices that we do need to engage in so that we can settle the real activation. So, like if you and I get really activated and we're in an argument or something like that, I want to be able to step away and do some deep breathing or some kind of practice that helps me settle into a more calm state so I can re-engage in conversation. So I'm not dismissing that entirely, but
Right.
I do think that that's only a part of the bigger picture of what it means to be engaged in nervous system awareness and in more of a relationship with your nervous system. And the other part is that, as you and I often talk about, is so much of this is self-oriented. And
Yes.
we are much more about like community orientation, collective orientation, both and like we're not entirely absorbing people into a collective, we're still individuals.
Yes.
But I'm much more interested also in talking about co-regulation, collective
Hmm.
regulation. How do we get to know, like you and I have done quite a bit of work in learning to understand each other's nervous system a little bit better so that we can support and notice when the other person is activated. And in a good relationship, you have that awareness. That doesn't sell as much, to be honest. So it's harder to create a meme about that on Instagram, or
It's
you know, it's
true.
not as much of a social media kind of language, but
Mhm.
yeah, learning to be in relationships and I've taken the word regulation out of some of my work to talk more about
Hmm.
attunement. Like
Yes.
how can we attune with each other to hold space for each other, to support whatever work you need to do with your nervous system. Um, and that might be soothing, but it might also be noticing, oh, these things are activating me because I have some trauma here and I have to do some deeper
Hmm.
healing or something. So it's the whole package. But rooting it in relationship in a bigger, and one of the things I talk a lot about is ecosystem understanding, seeing
Yes.
ourselves within the whole ecosystem, because I'm also a big proponent of eco-regulation, like go out and be with the trees and regulate with the in the forest by the lake. And that's like I talk about that a lot. That's where my nervous system feels the most attuned. Again, I don't know if I
Attuned.
want to
Yeah.
say regulated, but attuned and I'm witnessing how it's responding to my natural environment when I'm in
Hmm.
the woods. And it has to be on alert sometimes because there are dangers there, but it's also being regulated or being attuned with the trees. Like there's that sense of that connection helps me be more, yeah, more settled in my
Yeah.
system.
Of
So
course.
pick anything out of what I've just rambled
Yeah.
about
Well,
to go further.
lots of stuff is coming up for me. Just I'm thinking, picking up a bit on the eco attunement stuff. I'm just thinking about how, yes, you can be in attunement and very calm when you're in nature, but if all of a sudden the hair on your head starts standing on end and you're near a body of water and there's lightning there, you were in attunement that you were in danger and you should
Exactly.
probably move away from the water.
Yeah.
Or, if a bear comes strolling by, you can appreciate that bear want to be fairly far away from it. So
Exactly. And that's why your nervous system kicks in order for you
yes,
to have
100%.
the strength and speed to get out of that
That's
situation.
right.
Yeah,
And not every human relationship is going to be safe for you. So it does not make sense for you to continually try to calm yourself and have a
exactly.
calm nervous system if you
Yeah.
are in bodily or emotional or psychological distress around
Yeah.
a particular person.
Yeah. Some of it's about learning better boundaries rather
That's
than
right.
soothing your
Yeah.
nervous system. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that was coming up for me was the idea of co-attunement, co-regulation. And I know that there have been times when you and I have been co-hosting a circle or a group or whatever, where one of us, the person hosting it, will have a moment where they are activated. And it
Hmm.
is such a relief for me, I know, to know that there's another person there who can sort of step in and take over while I whew, bring myself back down,
Yeah.
investigate into what just happened in my body there, so that you can continue to have to hold space in a really grounded way. Having another person there is so helpful because then it's not all on you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that and the groundedness, a bit like that mycelium layer we talk a lot about, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, whoa, just notice the mycelium reacted there. you know I may be getting carried away with metaphors there, but I think you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, to stretch that even further, one of the things we recognize when we are hosting a circle is that
Yeah.
there is an energetic quality to the whole circle that
Yes.
is a collective. And there's some people, and I can't remember who, but I know I've read some people who talk about the collective nervous system, that there is
Yes.
that we as a group have a nervous system that is responding to the environment, and it's not rooted necessarily in our own bodies but rooted in the collective. And you can
Yeah.
sense that if you're a facilitator, somebody who's hosting conversations, you notice sometimes there's an elevation of the anxiety in a circle. And
Mm-hmm.
if you asked any one of those individuals in the circle, they might not be able to identify it because it's a collective thing and it's happening to
Yeah.
the collective. And so this is why I think we are wise to develop better language for this, to learn more about nervous systems. So
Yeah.
I don't say those people that are posting on social media about nervous systems should all shut up. Like I think there's
No.
value in
that's
us
not that's not the point.
developing better language around it and are learning to articulate it because when we do have that shared language, like you say, if you and I are co-hosting, we can send each other signals. Some of it is nonverbal signals, but some of it is like verbal signals. I remember specifically once where I knew a person in the circle often would activate, get my nervous system activated.
Yeah.
And I'd let my co-hosts know so that they could be forewarned if this starts to happen. This is
Mm-hmm.
your signal to come step in and support me and stand alongside me and maybe even take over the conversation. So having that understanding and that self-awareness of what does activate your nervous system, and then using it for the collective good so that the collective can be well held or you won't just be because that's the other thing is many people project and we've been in many circles where one person will get activated and suddenly it's like a
Yeah.
virus infecting the whole
Yeah.
group and there's a real destabilization there. So having that awareness and having taking responsibility for your own
Yes.
nervous system, but then also relying on others and being able to articulate instead of projecting it onto you. I'm going to say, can you help support me in this? I'm not going to blame anybody in the circle or make it
Yeah.
a problem everybody has to solve, but somebody can support me in that attunement.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to talk way more about this on Thursday. So we
This is
will,
just one small, I should say
yeah.
that, I mean, we were the workshop is more about being a well-resourced, grounded guide for
Yes.
our leadership for liminal spaces, and but nervous system will be part of
We'll be part of it.
the whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Feel welcome to add your thoughts in the comments. As always, we'd love to engage in a bit of conversation around this because obviously Heather and I think and talk about this stuff all the time, but it would
Yeah.
be great to hear what everyone else thinks. And if you've noticed some of the same languaging that I've noticed in some of these wellness spaces, and yeah, your takes on that Very interesting to hear. So we'll leave that open. And do come join us this Thursday. Uh, we're still trying to figure out what this program is going to look like next year. But we
We'll
will be
run it in
offering it
some
again.
fashion, but we haven't quite
Yeah.
landed on whether this was a trial run kind of the first year
Yeah.
out. But we have a lot of really, really good content
Yes.
that
Yeah.
we're ready to offer again come the new
Yeah.
year.
Absolutely. So we will see you hopefully this Thursday. Check us out, centerforholdingspace.com/leadership for liminal spaces. And yeah, I think that's all that I had. Anything
I
else?
think so. No,
All right. Okay.
we're
We'll
good.
see you again.